Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Nytt, Songs of the Shaman, out May 16th on Prophecy Productions. The album has 10 tracks, 34 minutes in length, and this is the band's 10th full-length studio album. They are a Siberian folk band. As the title of the record suggests, all of these 10 songs represent shamanic songs of Siberia's Manchu-Turgus ethno-linguistic groups. So this album is a little bit of a reservoir of these songs, of this knowledge, of everything that comes with it. So it has a very organic vibe all the way through. So it's not necessarily one of those albums that really requires you to go from song to song in order to get the full essence of the record. But this album allows you to dive deeper into what the experience is, obviously, if you listen to it as a whole. But if you decide to listen to these songs individually, each of them has its own natural path. It has its own natural meaning. It has its own natural place. So it's a versatile record from that standpoint. And the arch that holds it all together, it's really becoming that reservoir of knowledge, that reservoir of representation, so that this knowledge doesn't become lost. It's a nice way, it's actually a great way of introducing these shamanic songs to a much larger audience that otherwise would have never had a chance to hear it, and perhaps even dive a little bit deeper so you can understand it. So from a construction standpoint, the album almost constructs itself, and you could almost say the same about the sound and the vocals that come along with it. Because this is an album really where the voice is the main instrument. It's the main driver of everything. After all, it's songs of the shaman. So you have to think it from that standpoint. If you're a shaman and you're representing these songs or invoking the spirits that comes with these songs, more than the instruments, more than the sound around you, your voice is that instrument, and this record is definitely that. So as far as Nytt is concerned, this is definitely their more stripped down album that they've ever released. There are instruments, there are sounds, there are soundscapes, there are atmospheres within this record, but they're just there almost to create the heartbeat and the backdrop of everything the vocals are providing. And you can look at the percussions on this album as that heartbeat. There's a lot of different styles, there's a lot of different approaches percussion wise, but they're always there to keep the tempo, to keep that heart beating, to keep that song moving, to invoke those spirits in a way that feels connected to the earth. It's a very earthy sounding album from that standpoint because it strips it down to its more natural, raw qualities. Now there's also some atmospheric elements of nature surrounding some of these songs. I felt like that was really important to create a different perception of the tracks and therefore of the record. Because when you listen to some of these songs and you hear those sounds of nature, you almost feel like you are in front of a campfire and someone is invoking these songs, is singing these songs. So that creates a level of realism that to me is fundamental in order for the overall album to really work, in order for you to connect with the spirit of the songs, even though you may not understand exactly what the songs might be all about. Now, going back to the vocals, I felt like the vocals on this record, I said this earlier, they are the main instrument. And that it doesn't matter if it's singing a little bit heavier or even throat singing. There's a lot of that on this album. It doesn't matter the natural vocal approach that they took on this record. Even the changes between male and female vocals on this album is done really well, and I think it fits the mood of the songs and the spirit of the tracks really well. I don't think they're there by accident. I don't think they pulled it out of a hat who's gonna sing what song. So to me, everything felt really well planned out in order for the vocal performance to match the spirit of the song as closely as possible to what it was meant to be originally. So you're going to have a lot of dynamics between two different vocalists, male, female, and then obviously different styles and different approaches. Throat singing playing a huge role throughout this record. But all of them, regardless of how they're presented, once again, they are the album, they are the sound, they are the existence of this record. So it's an album that's completely melted into what the vocal performance offers, both sonically and emotionally. And that makes this album completely different from anything from Nytt has ever released. It feels like a more stripped down, connected record with much deeper roots, much deeper emotional roots as well. And that comes to the surface throughout each and every single track, because those vocals cannot hide what they're saying. They cannot hide the feelings behind it. They cannot hide the ceremonies that they invoke. And I think this is an important aspect, and it's definitely an aspect that sets this record apart. Now, I don't think this is a great album for the fans of other bands that have never heard of Nytt before that decide to dive into this record. This record might be slightly difficult if you're not familiar with the band. It might be slightly difficult if you're not necessarily engaged with the Shaman spirit and what Nytt is all about. So I think it's an album that's going to sit a little bit on the periphery for those not familiar with the band. But those that have followed the discography of the band, this album does not surprise anybody. Maybe it surprises because it has that sense of being a reservoir of knowledge and really keeping all these songs together in one single place. So from that standpoint, it will surprise the listener. But from the delivery, from the acoustics, from the emotional aspect of the album, this is pretty much what you're always going to get with every Nytt record. So I think for the fans of the band, this is a cool, logical step as far as the next record is concerned. For those on the periphery, this album may be a little bit too stripped out and a little bit too simplistic, because it's not about creating layers, it's not about creating visions, it's really about representing these songs, the ethnicity behind them, and all of it that comes along with it to its best, to its fullest, and to its truest. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Eikule, Yekule. This is a summoning of the spirit of the river, and I really like the natural sounds that are infused into the atmosphere of this song. I think it creates a nice balance. It creates a backdrop for the song that I felt it was really important, because it also helped give life and situate this track a lot better. The percussions come along as the heartbeat of the song, really creating the tempo, that heartbeat. And that's all they're there to do. Everything else falls on the vocals. The vocals create almost a trance-like, vibe or mood. It really brings a sense of calm and fluidity at the exact same time to how the song moves along. The vocals on this track do so much by feeling so little, but it's a powerful song from that standpoint, and it's a song that definitely grips the listener from the get-go. Then we have Ara Koro. This one, I picked this track because it has the male singing, and the male singing with a lot of throat singing on this song, so that helps you separate these two tracks, so you can see a little bit of, even though all the songs on this record are about shaman or shamanic songs, they all have their own uniquenesses, they all have their own DNA. So here you have two different songs with two different approaches, with two different styles of singing, and two different people singing them. This track feels way more methodic. It's not a track that has that heartbeat tempo like coming at you. This song moves a lot slower. It's also a much more earthy and grounded song, because the percussion sound on this track feels like it lingers. It hits hard, but it stays there. It doesn't come back right away. And that kind of feel is what brings that earthy atmosphere into the track, giving it some substance. A track that really lives off of some great sounds, great flows, especially when you get to the end of the track. The flute towards the end of the track is phenomenal. It brings this sense of air, this breeze into the track that helps move the song along, but it doesn't take anything away from the mythology that the song had all the way up to this point. And then you introduce those nature backdrop atmospheric pieces that closes off the track perfectly. It's really symbiotic from that standpoint in terms of what the sound and the vocals offer and the elements of atmosphere put forward. The two kind of blend together in perfect harmony. Last but definitely not least, I picked an instrumental track, the shortest track on the album, Demon Slayer. Now, why did I pick this song? Because at first glance, it's a track that perhaps is going to get very little notice. It's a really short song, under 2 minutes. It's instrumental. and it has a very Asian essence to it, almost Mongolian essence to it at its heart. It's stringy, it has this beautiful melody that dissipates with air, has no boundaries whatsoever. It's a song that doesn't feel like it's boxed in. That sound travels, and it will end when the sound reaches its most further point possible. So it works almost as an interlude in the concept of the record, in the design of the album. But I thought it was such a creative track. It's so simple, so straightforward, so stripped down, no vocals whatsoever, in an album that's extremely vocally focused, vocally driven, where everything about this record surrounds what you're singing about, not necessarily what's around that singing. Introducing a song like this that feels minimalistic but musically minimalistic adds such great value to everything else around it, and that's why it was easily one of my top 3 picks for favorite songs on this record. This is it, Nytt Songs of the Shaman, once again on May 16th on Prophecy Productions. Hit me up in the comment section, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.